How's it going, everybody? It's that time of the year again, good old March Madness. So I'm gonna just have a nice little video making my picks. I've already made a couple brackets, but this is just gonna be yet another one, and we'll hope we'll get some points from it. My college hoops knowledge is very limited. I only follow a certain uh, few schools, mostly the Big 12 schools. It's like if I really wanted to, I could just send you. You already know. Um, but just as a nice little background sound. Don't know how many of you follow March Madness or anything like that. Just go through, give my limited opinion. Most of this goes off of feel though, so we'll just start from the top down. Starting up, this is we got Alabama and these two. Obviously Alabama is going to win that. They've been on a absolute bender this season. Don't know how sustainable they are long term, but Uh, they're definitely not going to lose to a 16 seed, or it'll be the upset of the century, but there's probably some others that will get upset first. Here we got Maryland and West Virginia. I'm going with West Virginia. A little bias on the Big 12 uh, aspect of it, but I don't know. Like I know West Virginia is favored in this game. Their seeding is just kind of flopped, but this is a pretty unfair 8-9 seed. It seems like to me. San Diego State and Charleston. Don't know anything about them, but uh, yeah, just to pick some trends. I know that the 5 and 12 is the most trendy upset based on certain stats, and I know that uh, the two schools that follow these stats are Charleston and Drake. So I'll just pick Drake for now as well on this side, and we'll pop back to this side later. But there's a certain stat that if the 5 seed team has a certain adjusted offense or adjusted defense ranking, then they are very trendy. So moving on to Virginia and Furman, I'm taking Virginia. Don't know anything about either of those, so I'll just go with the favorite. I don't think I can have two upsets right next to each other. Creighton and NC State. Creighton hasn't been as good as they have in the past, but they're definitely not doing too bad. I don't know much about NC State, but I gotta go with Creighton just as a blue blood school. Baylor, they're good, but they're spotty. But I don't think they're gonna lose to UC Santa Barbara, I believe that is. Missouri and Utah State. I am not a huge Mizzou person, so I'm gonna pick Utah State. I feel like I know nothing about them, but I just feel something. And Arizona and Princeton. I don't track Arizona at all, but I'm a big fan of uh, like Tucson and their logo, and I know they've been pretty well this season so far. Moving on to the other side, gotta go with Houston. Even if their best guy is spotty, hopefully he plays. I know he didn't play the championship game for the conference, but we'll hope he's in it for the big dance. Iowa and Auburn. Based on prior knowledge, I know that Iowa is going to absolutely get hounded, and Auburn's going to win this. I mean, it is essentially a home game for Auburn as well, being down in Alabama. So this is essentially a road game for Iowa. So that makes it tough. Again, trendy pick. Drake upsets Miami. Uh, and being an Iowa school, I really like the Iowa teams going further. Indiana and Kent State. Now, I know there's been a little bit of back and forth. Indiana isn't the greatest, but I don't think Kent State is much better in the slightest, so I'm going to have to pick Indiana here. As you can tell, a lot of these are going off of feel. Xavier, got to support Xavier. Texas A&M and Penn State. I feel like Texas A&M could very well go on a run in this championship season, I guess. Texas and Colgate. Colgate's a funny name, um, and I like picking them for that reason. But I gotta go with Texas. I would love to see a Texas and Texas A&M matchup in Des Moines. I don't know what this. Oh yeah, it gives you some stats there. But a Texas and Texas A&M matchup in Des Moines would be hilarious to see. Um, moving down to the bottom, we'll just do all the groups at a time. Uh, Purdue, I think, is definitely making it out. They're not getting upset by a 16 seed. I'd say there's no 16 seed upsets this year, which is usually a pretty safe bet. But if anybody were to get upset, I think it would be Purdue out of the four this year. Memphis and FAU. I like Memphis just because I like Memphis. I don't know much about Florida Atlantic. Duke isn't, again, not going on a tear this season compared to some previous seasons. And Oral Roberts, I believe they were the ones that went on that big run last year that broke everything. But if they were matched up against someone that wasn't Duke, like if they were matched up against Tennessee, I would probably pick Oral Roberts, but I don't know if they could go on a run 2 years in a row, especially with their first game up against Duke. Um, Tennessee and Louisiana, I would love to see the Raging Cajuns win this, but I think Tennessee's got this one. Kentucky's going to win. Blue Bloods always make it out of the first round, it seems, even if I don't want them to. Kansas State, got to pick Kansas State as a homer. This might just be the uh, favorite side. Michigan State and Marquette. No analysis there. I just dislike USC greatly, and I like Marquette, so that's where we sit. Arkansas and Illinois. I have friends that go to Illinois or went to Illinois, so that's nice. I know Illinois isn't too fantastic right now, but I would like to see them at least make it out of the first round. I think St. Mary's could win this because I don't know who VCU is. Good talk. UConn, um, definitely an interesting season, but we'll pick them. TCU because Big 12, clearly. Um, Gonzaga, I like to see Boise State win this because I don't know much about Northwestern, but uh, I don't think they have the power to beat someone who has a blue football field. They just don't cross me as that school. And UCLA because they always make it. All right, perfect. Back to the top. Um, Alabama and West Virginia. As much as I would love to see West Virginia win this, I think Alabama's going to take this one. I would love to see a West Virginia matchup, but I think it's going to be Virginia Alabama. Um, I don't like picking all these high seeds all the time. I like one seed and stuff like that, and have it be super predictable because I like to toss in some upsets. But I don't know. Baylor. I want to pick Baylor for Big 12 again, but they're spotty, and I think Creighton could be a good matchup for Baylor. And Utah State versus Arizona. I'd want to take Arizona in that. Houston versus Auburn. I don't know where these are, but I want in one of my brackets I have Houston taking the whole thing. Um, I want to take them, but uh, I want to take them the whole way, especially because they're a future Big 12 school. But with one of their big guys out in the championship game and perhaps questionable coming into this tournament, I don't know if I want to rely on them too heavily. I want Drake to win this, but I don't know. I'll just pick Drake to pick Drake. Does Houston get upset by Auburn and this is a 9-12 game? I don't know. I think we got to pull this on Houston, Indiana. As much as I want to see Drake there, I don't think it's going to happen. And then unfortunately, this is where I'm split. I don't know how strong my bias is with Iowa State. Like I think Pitt is going to win. So I'm recording this on Tuesday right now. So Pitt and Mississippi State are going to play in about 2 hours. Um, and I don't know anything about Kennesaw State, so I think it'll be Xavier versus Iowa State. And I'm going to pick Iowa State to beat them solely based on Iowa State showing up that game, which I hope they do, because it's either on or it's off. Texas, I would love to see, and I would hate to see, an Iowa State versus Texas game, because it would just, it would be the most stressful game, yeah, at Kansas City, so that would be that would be an Iowa State home game again, but I don't know. I'm going with Texas A&M. Why? I don't know. Purdue versus Memphis. I think Purdue takes that one, and Duke will take Tennessee. Kentucky versus Kansas State. I want to take Kansas State as a homer. I would love to see Kentucky fall to K-State. Um, Marquette, I think, has done an amazing job this season so far, especially at the end here. And I don't know enough about Michigan State to say that Michigan State can put a stop to that. I think if Marquette really shows up and tries to win this, they could get to the Final Four if they really wanted to. Kansas versus Illinois, definitely Kansas. Kansas is probably the best team in the country right now. St. Mary's versus UConn. Mm. Team I know not much about either about, so we'll go with UConn. TCU versus the Zags. I'd love to see TCU win. Again, any Big 12 school, I would love to see win. But I think the future Big 12 school of Gonzaga is going to beat that. And of course, UCLA. If Boise State or Northwestern, I don't think it matters who's winning this game. UCLA just has a straight shot to the Sweet 16. So with that, before we go and pick the Sweet 16s, I'm going to go put a frozen pizza in the oven. So I will mute my mic so you just sit back and relax and think about what picks you're going to make. Alright, so now that I am back, I hope you didn't hear the Discord notification, but if you did, oh well, I guess. But to round out this bracket, be nice and quick, we've got Alabama versus Virginia. Now, with all the hit news articles that Alabama has been taking front stage at, I don't know how sustainable they are, as well as how they're just a lob it up 3-point team, it seems like, in my limited knowledge. So if the shots fall, the shots fall. If they don't, they're screwed. And I think, like, I think they could get by from West Virginia with that, but I don't think Virginia will let them have that. So I'm going to take Virginia here and Arizona over Creighton. And then we got Houston and Indiana. Man, who, who? Every time I try to pick against Houston or think about it, I just can't because they're the preseason favorites and all this, and I feel bad about picking the favorite, but it really relies on if that one guy is going to be a huge part of this run or not. And Iowa State versus Texas A&M. This is a mix of what I want and what I think will happen. So what I want is Texas to lose to A&M. If that's the case, and it's Iowa State versus A&M, I think Iowa State can win that. If Texas beats A&M, then I think Texas would beat Iowa State in a very close game. It would be close either way. But I'm taking Iowa State, and then unfortunately Houston would beat Iowa State. In this case, Arizona would beat Virginia as well. Back down here, Purdue, they're very good at basketball when it isn't the most important. If they weren't known for choking so hard in these tournaments, I would pick them, but I gotta go with Duke. I think Duke can make a run this year, and I'm picking Marquette over Kansas State. Sorry to my brother, but I think Marquette is just too powerful right now. Kansas over UConn, obviously, and I believe UCLA. And I picked the Elite Eight down here, so I'm gonna have to go with seeing Duke, I believe, and Kansas. This bottom part of the bracket is, I feel less good about the bottom half of this bracket than the top half. But who knows? I think Kansas is definitely getting back to the Final Four though. And if it's in Houston, it's going to be hard to not take Houston. I think it's Houston versus, oh man, Houston versus Duke. No, man, I don't want to pick Houston every time. This game is so hard. Jeez. What do I want to happen? I would love to see Kansas beat Houston and then Duke beat Kansas. And I'll enter sweepstakes. And I don't know what the common scores are, so I'll go with 74 to 68. Those are my picks. Duke is winning this one. This is the bracket I feel the least confident about, but let me know if you make one, who your winner is, how far Iowa State's going. Love to hear about it. So I'll see you in the comments section. Peace.